going to do an insight video today. I was very much connected over the weekend, looking at sort of being in energy and being in light, and connecting into vibration and frequency. And they were very much talking about sort of the eternal moment again, about the eternal self and oneness. And in this sense, I've talked about this a lot over the last few readings or insights that I've been doing. And it's so important because being in oneness and being in consciousness around that, and like beingness, which is very much around sort of being in vibration, being in frequency, be, being in vibration and frequency is very different to doing. Being is sort of like being access to your source light, your eternal self, the oneness vibration. And what happens when you start to do this, you start to shift in consciousness, you shift in awareness. One, you become an open channel to receive insights from the spiritual guides, teachers, masters, but you also sort of come in online with your higher self. And what starts to happen is you start to then integrate higher consciousness, higher awareness. But what happens is you start to shift your reality, you shift and change your vibration and frequency. And what happens is you start to create and manifest a different reality, a different energy. You vibrate with a different energy. You've got light, you've got energy. And what happens is, like, how we see the world and how we sort of connect to the world shifts and changes completely, and also shifts and changes how you relate to the world. So like we're very much sort of like, when you look at like the third dimension, I talk about dimensions and dimensional realities, but really they're one vibration. And this is the key about oneness, is that you start to understand that there's many different vibrations to oneness. And then the third dimensional reality, the physical dimensional reality, where it's very much around sort of like, it can be about physical reality and like materialism and stuff like that, is still part of oneness. It's still part of the oneness vibration. But what's happening at the moment on the planet with the guides and the masters and the angels and the teachers that are coming in, they're shifting your consciousness, they're shifting your vibration, they're shifting your frequency to see the world in a different way, is to let go of those kind of things and start to create on a different vibration and frequency. So it's like the fifth dimensional frequency. It very much talks about like the diamond consciousness. It talks about like heaven on earth, and how we are sort of like connected with the spirit world, and we're connected with our higher selves, and we're integrating our higher selves within this reality, within this time at the moment. And the fifth dimension is very much around that. It's very much around the unity, the alignment to our spiritual source, our higher selves, the eternal self. And it opens a doorway, it opens the understanding that the things that we're attached to on the physical level are sort of like, they're not really reality. They're just like a physical external sort of vibration of frequency, but they're a lower form of consciousness. So when we start to align more and more with this higher frequency and higher consciousness, and we start to connect to the eternal self, we know that what happens then is, like when you talk about the universal law of manifestation, the law of attraction, the law of compensation, all those kind of things, when you start looking at them, when you first start working with them, you're trying to create something like externally outside of yourself to try and attract these things. And the key is, when you're in your eternal self and you're in this vibration, this frequency, and you're in this source energy, and the oneness vibration, everything is attracted naturally. The universe works in harmony and it brings it to you. So you're not even working on like dimensional reality in a sense anymore. You're not looking at the third dimension, you're not looking at materialism, you're not looking at in a sense of trying to create and manifest and attract, because naturally you're doing that because you're in that sacred space, you're in that space of oneness. So this is the shift as well, and this is what aligns you. And what happens then when you go into oneness, you start to align with the higher frequencies, the master frequencies, the archangel frequencies, and the universal teachers frequencies. And then what happens then is you naturally become a channel for those. So you don't really need to worry about, in a sense, of what you're manifesting, what you're attracting, because you're in pure union, you're in oneness. And what happens then is your vibration, your frequency opens up, and your higher self is integrated. So what happens is, in your higher self then starts to attract what's needed within your life, within your your spiritual reality. So you don't even need to really, as such, try and consciously manifest, because what you're doing is you're already in pure harmony. You're in that oneness vibration, that frequency, which is the eternal self. The eternal self knows, in its frequency, in its vibration, that when it's connected to the infinite self or the higher self, um, you are attracting, like, and you're open as a channel to attract this consciousness that is needed, one for you on an individual level, so your own individual sort of reality shifts and changes, but also on a collective reality. And again, this is what I've been talking about when it comes down to like spiritual reality and in oneness. And when you're truly sort of like connected into that, you naturally manifest and create. You manifest and create, because that's sort of like, that's the essence of all beings, that we are born of light and energy and vibration and frequency, and the eternal self has many different sort of vibrations and frequencies to that. So when you start to access it, what starts to happen is there's a shift in change in consciousness, your vibration and frequency, and then your energy vibration changes. And then what happens is you start to attract what is needed, one for yourself but also for it collectively. And the teachers and the guides will work with you on this. They're bringing through the consciousness, they're bringing through the understanding, the higher awareness that is needed. And each and every one of us are a channel. And the more that we start to practice, I don't even like to use the word practice, I like to say open to it. The more we open to this eternal vibration, this eternal frequency, the more we become aligned. And then what happens is we create a natural channel that is constantly flowing with this higher consciousness, this higher awareness that is needed, and it flows into our energy vibration, our energy frequency. So when we're talking about like the third, fourth, and fifth dimension, well, that when we start looking at that, we were looking at that maybe like a few years ago, where we were looking at the third, fourth, and fifth dimension. The dimensional realities to explain, or dimensional frequencies to explain reality and to explain where we are sort of like spiritually. But when you get into like the eternal moment, or the eternal self and the vibration of oneness, there is only one vibration. There just is. So again, it's there's no separation. So when we start looking at dimensional reality, in that sense, when we look at the third, fourth, fifth, or what are these different dimensional realities, we're still looking at something being separate, when actually it's not. It's one vibration, it's one frequency. And in that sense, the more we're able to become channels and open to our infinite selves, our higher selves, and that flow of that oneness, then we start to move through these different vibrational frequencies, but also shift and change through these different realities, and we start to create and manifest in a different way. And this is what this time's about. So when I started doing these insights in these videos, I was very much sort of like talking a lot about third dimensional reality, fourth dimensional reality, fifth dimensional reality. But now I'm talking about something different, which is the oneness. And the oneness vibration is all things in all vibrations. So there just is one vibrational space that we're all in, and we're all connected. And again, it's about non-separation. It's about nothing is separate. And in this state and in this understanding, at any time we can always be, as long as we're in this space, we're in this oneness vibration, we can shift and change reality. But we can also open up to infinite possibilities and infinite frequencies. And this is how the universe works. There's many beings of light and teachers and guides that are in the universe, and they're all vibrating as part of a oneness vibration, but they're all vibrating on different vibrational frequencies. And this is what's needed to create the whole. We're all part of that vibration, we're all part of that frequency. So in your physical reality, it's about just opening up to that light, opening up to that energy, opening up to that understanding that there's no time, there's no space, there's just a frequency of energy and light. And the way so like even things like time and how we look at our lives, when I've been able to open up, even if for short periods, to this oneness vibration, it's like time disappears, time moves away, and it's like all that's left is this infinite vibration and space. I had this experience on Saturday when I was just like down the gym and I was running. I had a moment or a few moments where I was just in the vibration, and I sort of like I turned around and looked, at like 7 or 8 minutes had gone, and I wondered where they'd gone. But that was because you were in this infinite vibration, in this infinite frequency, and it's like time disappears, and all that's left is energy and light and vibration. And this is why it's so important with the universal laws of oneness and vibration, that we start to understand this. We start to understand that these are the things that actually create reality, and we create reality through these vibrations, frequencies, and it shifts our consciousness. And our consciousness is the expanding sort of understanding of insight and awareness and wisdom. And that comes from when we start to integrate the higher self, which is what this time's about, is integrating that infinite self and the higher self. And this is what we're all doing at this moment. We're in this time to do that. So even dimensional realities that people talk about, the fifth, sixth, they're just a way of understanding, but understanding that oneness has many different levels, has many different vibrations, many different frequencies, and we can move through those. As we're in this space, we move through these different vibrational frequencies and these different realities, and the vibration frequencies that these realities bring. But there's no separation, and the realities really, again, are just a way of defining or trying to sort of like look at understanding as a spiritual being the different shifts in vibrations and frequencies, but also sort of like when you're in this oneness vibration, it's like things, you become secure, it's like you become aligned, you feel free, in a sense, liberated. And this, what comes from that is this understanding that, again, like with like the third dimension brings like this kind of physicality of like limits, and it sort of like brings this sense of like where this is where we fear, and we get stressed and we worry and we doubt. All of that is like the physical vibration, but it's also the external vibration where we very much sort of like connect on a physical level and worry about things. But when you're in that source energy or that oneness vibration, you're an open channel, and you're receiving what is needed, and you're attracting what is needed, like through the law of attraction or the law of compensation, inspired action. All these kind of laws work perfectly in that oneness vibration, and that's why the more we open up to it, the more these universal laws come in harmony, and we come in harmony with this infinite self and the higher self, the eternal self. And we start to understand that, as long as we're in that energy, that frequency and vibration, we're attracting exactly what's needed. There is no worry, there is no doubt, there is no fear, because we're attracting exactly what's needed within this time. And each and every one of us, as we start to integrate our higher selves, will bring that in more and more, and we start to align with that divine awareness, that divine consciousness. And the more we do that, the more we shift and change our reality, our own reality, but we work to shift and change the collective reality.